All right, we're factoring polynomials where a is greater than 1. This being a, so like a is 8 here. So what we're going to do is we're actually doing a times c. And so, yikes, that is 48 times 8. That's 64. Starting off with an easy one, thanks. Oh, you know what? I'm glad that I caught myself because, you know what? These guys have a common factor of 8. Let's take that bad boy out, and we get v squared plus v minus 6. So, haha, this becomes real easy. The answer is 8 times v. Okay, so we can still do a times c. Now it's just 1 times negative 6. That's negative 6. And then our b term is down here. That's 1. So this is going to be positive 3, negative 2. So v plus 3, v minus 2. That's your final answer here. Factor this. Oh, look, they have a 6 in common. 6y squared minus 4y plus 3. So we have 3 and negative 4. That's minus 3 minus 1. So our answer is 6 times x minus 3, x minus 1. And if you're like, but how do I know, like, if I've done it right? Remember how I told you, you know you've done it right if you can distribute back or FOIL or whatever you want to call it. V times v is v squared, negative 2v, and then plus 3v and minus 2. Well, that's going to give you this part. And then distributing this 8 to all of that would give you back the original problem. So anyway, I don't plan on checking my answers every time, mainly because you and I have this system that we're pretty confident in. All right, next, 9 is a factor. R squared minus 4r minus 5. Negative 5 and negative 4. We're going to get a, let's see, minus 5 plus 1. That works. So 9 times r minus 5, r plus 1. That's that one. Okay. Now we're going to factor this one. Oh no, our first one where we cannot factor something out. So now it really is a times c, which is going to be 56 here because that's 8 times 7, and we want to get 30. Well, the factors of 56 are 1 and 56, and really I'm just going to kind of do all of them. You might know it right away, but let's just pretend you don't. So 2 times, let's see, that would be 28. Let's see, well, actually, let's stop there. 2 and 28 are going to give us 30, so 2 and 28. So we have 8m squared plus 2m plus 28m plus 7. And if you're wondering where that came from, because up here we weren't doing that stuff. Well, technically we were. It's just that we didn't need to write it that way because this factors just so prettily. And this has to factor by grouping. Okay, so that's what we're working towards now. We have essentially broken up 30 into a group of 2 different terms. And I'm going to keep using the word group over and over, and you know, if you don't like it, too bad. All right, so what we're going to do is talk about this group and talk about this group and what they all have in common. Well, this yellow group has an 8. Nope. This yellow group has a 2 and an m in common. So that's now 4m plus 1. This purple group has a 7 in common. So if we factor out 7, we get 4m plus 1. And something I told you in class as we were doing this is that your first group will have to match this second group. So it's a big like indicator of, oh, hey, the next thing had better match this or we've made a mistake somewhere, okay? So now from this yellow group, we can factor out 4m plus 1. And from the purple group, we can factor out 4m plus 1. And what will be left behind is 2m plus 7. Now, I color code so that you can see what the heck just happened. So this 4m plus 1 and this 4m plus 1, I made it green just because, hey, we took that whole group out of this entire thing. Because there's a 4m plus 1 here, there's a 4m plus 1 here, and now what's left over from this is this 2m. There it is. What's left over from this is the 7 right there. So now we are done. That is the answer right here. Number 5. Factor. Oh no, they don't have a common factor, so we're going to have to do a little bit of thinking. We're going to do a times c, which is 150, and we want to get negative 31. So let's see, the factors of 150. Let's see, we're going to have 2 and 75 and 3 and 50 and 5 and let's see, 30. Is that right? 5 and 30? Yep. 6. Does 6 go into that? Yeah, it has to, because if 2 and 3 go into it, then so does 6. 150 divided by 6, we're going to get 12, 25. Hey, we found it. It is 6 and 25, negative 6, negative 25, and that will give us negative 31 when we add them, and it'll give us positive 150 when we multiply them. So 10w squared minus 6w minus 25w plus 15. Alrighty. What does this group have in common? They have a 2w in common. So when we factor that out, we get 5w minus 3. And what does this group have in common? Also a 5. Well, I shouldn't say also a 5. A 5. So if we were to just take out a 5, this would not identically match this. So what we're going to have to do is take out a negative 5. Why a negative? Because if you factor a negative away from that, it's going to be positive. If you factor if you factor a negative away from that, it will become negative. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to factor out a negative 5, and what we have is 5w positive, right? Because this was negative, now it's positive. Minus 3 because this was positive, now it's negative. And I think you can probably just, well, if you're with me, if you're feeling this, if you're understanding this, then I think you're going to just go, oh, there's the answer. I just read it. It's 5w minus 3 times 2w minus 5. And if you're not able to just read that, that's okay. Not expecting that. But notice how they both had the 5w minus 3, and there it is. This guy has a 2w left behind. There he is. This guy has a negative 5. That's what's left behind right there. So that's our whole answer. Next, 4z plus z minus 3. They don't have anything in common. So we're going to have 4 times negative 3. That's negative 12. And we want to add or subtract their factors to get 4. Let's see, the factors of 12. There's 12 and 1 and 2 and 6 and 3 and 4. And, 2 and 6. Okay. Negative 2, positive 6. Sounds good. So we have 4z squared minus 2z plus 6z minus 3. Now, one thing that I made a big emphasis on in class was that these two could be switched and it would not make any difference to the final answer. But I like my negatives being right here as opposed to right here, so I'm going to do this. I don't like it there. I love it there. And here's why. Because when I factor this, I don't have to worry about a negative, and when I factor this, I don't have to worry about a negative. So that's it. From this first group, they have a 2z in common. This is now 2z minus 1. From the second group, they have a 2 in common, and that will be 3. What? Oh, they don't have a 2 in common. They have a 3 in common. How about that? They have a 3 in common, so that's 2z minus 1. But by the way, that is a little bit of a giveaway of like, oh, hey, I did something wrong when my second group, because when I did that, my second group wasn't matching. It became a 3z, and well, that's a 2z. So that would not have worked. So anyway, let's factor out 2z minus 1. And what's left behind is 2z plus 3. That's our final answer. Next, we have 18v squared minus 15v minus 18. I see that they have a 3 in common, so let's factor that out. This is now 6v squared minus 5v minus 6. If you didn't notice that, does that mean your life is over? Does that mean you don't know what you're doing? No, it just means you have a little bit of extra work. So this is now 6 times 6, 36, and it will be negative because A is positive and C is negative, and we want to achieve negative 5 for our B. Let's see, 36 is 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9. It looks like it's negative 9 and positive 4. All right, so the 3 is on the outside, 6v squared minus 9v plus 4v minus 18. And by the way, if you're thinking that I'm going too fast, I'll say this. The idea is I'm constantly kind of checking, okay, over here, do these numbers go over here? And really it's only these two that end up making it over here, right? This is A times C. I mean, there is A, there is C, and this is B. However, it's just that these two are remaking B, right? So I'm mentally going like, okay, get that guy, bring him here, get that guy, bring him here, but actually not that guy because I want this guy, right? So there's details to keep track of, right? I mean, duh, you know that. So this 3 is out front, and then this group has a 3v in common. So we're going to take that out, and we get 2v minus 3. Can you see that okay? I bet you can. Anyway, and then from this group, they have a 2 in common, so plus 2. Hold up, wait a minute. See, remember how earlier I was like, if I'm going too fast, this is not negative 18. It is this negative 6 right here. So they have a 2 in common. They still have a 2 in common. So this is 2v minus 3. Cool. We are almost there. So that 3, that green 3, is still going to be way out front. I'm going to zoom out just because I've smushed myself into the next problem. 3, parentheses. And then the 2v minus 3. And then next is the 3v that's right here. And the 2 that's right there. And now we are done. That's the whole thing. Okay. Number 8. Well, good news or bad news, they have nothing in common. However, I'm definitely factoring out a negative. You know what? Maybe I won't. Let's just go. Let's just not factor out a negative. Let's try this. The reason that... So you have some choices here, right? You could have factored out a negative. The reason I'm not going to is I don't know if your final answer, if the computer will like it. But you could theoretically do this, right? That's possible. But I'm going to erase it because that's not what I'm going to do, okay? Negative 7 times negative 12. That is negative 84. I'm sorry, positive 84. And B is negative 25. Okay, factors of 84. Here we go. My dog's barking. 184. 2, 42. 3, let's see, 84. And 3, that's 2, 28. Yep, and that's going to be it too. Negative 28, positive 3. I don't know if you can actually hear my dog or not, so that's why I'm kind of chuckling to myself. We've got negative, because he's barking like crazy in the other room. Negative 7v squared minus 28v plus 3v minus 12. I think my wife's home. That's what's going on. Anyway, factoring out negative 7. Yeah, and now my wife is singing that she's home. V. Okay. There you go. Let's get it together, McMath. Negative 7v So this would now just be positive v plus 4. And then the next one will be plus 3, and we get v minus 4. Hold up a second. Did we do something wrong? Because when I factor out this negative right here, that made this positive. When I factor out a 3 there, okay, let's see what's going on. Are there more factors that give us 25, perhaps? Let's see. 4 and 21. I think we have found something. Have we? 4 and 21 also give us 25. And, aha. Okay, so this is perfect. I'm so happy. This doesn't happen very often that you get two separate factors. I shouldn't say it doesn't happen very often. It doesn't feel like it happens very often. It doesn't, that you get two factors that would both give you negative 25, right? How is this? Well, you would have a positive and a negative and a negative negative. So the idea is now we change this to negative 21 and negative 4. And here's the idea. When you multiply two negatives, you get that positive, this positive right here, and that's what's important. So we change things. Cha-cha, cha-cha. Let's just erase this whole thing. Negative 21v minus 4. Okay, let's go. Factor out a negative 7v, and we get v plus 3. We factor out a negative 4, we get v plus 3. 3. All right, now we can factor the grouping here. We have v plus 3 and negative 7v minus 4. There is our answer. So, by the way, earlier when I said, hey, I don't know if the computer will like if we factor out a negative, it's just that that negative would be here, right? Theoretically, but it's not for us since we did it another way. And if you're like, well, couldn't we just distribute the negative here or here or here or here? Yeah. I guess technically speaking, you would only do it here or here, not both, because if you did both, it would be like having two negatives. But anyway, so let's just go with this as our answer for now. Next. Okay, negative 8h squared minus 13h plus 6. We got negative 48. We got negative 13. Let's see. 2, 24, 3, and 16. Let's see. So if we did negative 16 and positive 3, does that work? I'm just thinking because the last one, just real quick, we have 4 and 12 and 6 and 8. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. So negative 8h squared minus 16h plus 3h plus 6. Also starting this one, I didn't even consider, do they have anything in common? They don't. So we will take out negative 8h, leaving us with positive h, positive 2, and then plus 3 times h plus 2. Our final answer is negative 8h plus 3, because there's our plus 3, there's our negative 8h, times h plus 2. These, still nothing in common. A little bit of an annoying number. 22 times 9, 18, 9. That's 198. Yay. So 198 is going to be 11. Now, if you're like, how the heck did he get 11? Well, maybe I did the math already, right? So it's 11 and 18. 11 and 18 will give us 29. So here we go. Let's write our little thingamabob here. We got 198 and we got 29 and we got 11 and what did I say? 20, 11 and 18. Why would it be 28, right? Okay. So let's just double check that we got all our signs right. So negative 22 and negative 9 give us positive here. This is positive, and then these add together. We are good. We should be good. Negative 22d squared plus 18d plus 11d minus 9. If we factor out a negative, let's see, is it just 2? Yeah, it's just negative 2d, so we get a positive 11d minus 9. And then check it out, that is 11d minus 9. So here's kind of the interesting thing about this. If I just write plus 11d minus 9, how many 11d's minus 9 do you see here? 1, right? So when we go ahead and factor everything out, our final answer is negative d plus that 1 times 11d minus 9. This is our final answer right here. Error analysis. What went wrong here? Well, let's find out. 6 times 3. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18 and negative 7. Let's see. 9 and 2. Negative 9, positive 2. All that's going to work. We're going to get 6x squared minus 9x plus 2x minus 3. Factor out a 3x, so that should be good. This gives us 2x minus 3, right? And there's probably our problem right there, is that should be a 3. But let's keep going. Well, yeah, because that is plus 1 times 2x minus 3. I see what happened. So the explanation is they put a 1 here when the 1 should have gone here, 3x. And hang on, so let's clean this up a little bit. Plus 1 and minus 3 should swap. And it's because of how that would factor right there. Number 12, we got modeling a real-life scenario. The height h in feet above the water of a cliff diver is modeled by this. Okay, so one thing I want to point out, as we've been kind of doing like the function of the day, is the parent function is like y equals x squared. And you notice this is a lot more than that, right? And one thing I don't know if you remember is we had one where it was negative x squared. So what's the difference? Well, the purple one looked like this. The green one looked like this. So if you're wondering, like, why am I talking about this? Because of our negative right here, okay? And again, why am I talking about that? Because then the scenario we've got here is like, here's the edge of the cliff, right? And the cliff diver's doing this kind of thing, right? They're diving off a cliff, right? So the reason I say that is mathematically they could go through the core of the earth, right? Because they dive so deep. But really instead we're wanting to know, like, when do they hit the water, right? And if you're like, well, this is a kind of a crappy drawing, thank you. It's so nice of you. So where okay, so how long is the diver in the air? We basically want to know, when does he hit the water? So how we're going to do this is we are going to factor it. Can you believe it? On a factoring assignment, they have 8 in common. So I'm going to factor out an 8, and I get negative 2t squared plus t plus 10. We got negative 20. We got 1. So this is going to be positive 5, negative, well, I said the numbers in wrong order. Positive 5, negative 4. And we're going to get 8 times negative 2t squared minus 4t plus 5t. And then I'm going to go ahead and write plus 10 and close it. These got a little too scooched in there. Don't think that they have anything to do with each other. In fact, here. There we go. Next, let's do some factoring. 8 times negative 2t will give us t plus 2. And then let's factor out a 5, and that is t plus 2. Okay. That 8 is still way out front. And then we have t plus 2 times negative 2t plus 5. Now, we have not yet spent much time talking about this in class. We had a couple that were like this, that were talking about, like, hey, if you had a triangle and you were given, the base and the height, and they did it like this. They called that x plus 2, and they called the height, like, let's say x plus 5. And they told you that the area was, let's just pretend it was 121 inches squared. So what happened with this is that we should have factored, well, hang on. So what we should have done was, we said, hey, area of a triangle is 1/2 times base times height, or base times height divided by 2, however you look at it. And then you take this, and you plug them in here and here, and you distribute, and then you would set it equal to 121, and then you'd move that, and then you'd solve it. And so the idea is that the whole thing would boil down to when this equaled 0. Okay, and if you're like, wait, what? That's what I'm saying over here. We would have subtracted 121 from both sides, and we would have had 0, and then we would have factored this. And then technically we could have figured out when it was equal to 0. So that's what we're going to do here, is that this, hang on, I'm going to do some highlighting. This blue piece, this red piece, and this green piece, they are just 3 terms, okay? They're multiplying together, right? 8 is multiplying this term is multiplying this term. Now, what if all of a sudden I change this 8 into a 0? Well, what is 0 times anything? It'd be 0, right? So 0 times this would be 0. Well, okay, we don't have to worry about the 8 turning into 0, but you know what? If we took t plus 2 and set it equal to 0, we could find the exact moment that when t is that this would be now 0, right? Because if you put a negative 2 right here, negative 2 right there, negative 2 plus 2 is 0, 8 times 0 is 0, 0 times this is 0. So the concept that we're approaching is that at negative 2 seconds, is that how long the diver's in the air? No, that's crazy. Because negative 2 seconds is like, here, well, let's go with a better picture of the cliff diver. So here's the axis, so to speak. Here's the water. Here's the cliff. And the idea is that maybe this is what the parabola looks like. Okay? And here is negative 2. So, like, here is where that hits the 0, right? Here's where he's on the ground, right? But instead, we want to know when he's on the ground over here, okay? So, back to this. Let's take the green one. Negative 2t plus 5 equals 0. We subtract 5. We divide by negative 2, and we get 5 over 2, positive. Or 2.5, right? So basically right here is 2.5. So he was in the air for 2.5 seconds. Now I'm not on the, well, here's where I can start overthinking. I'm pretty sure that the answer is just 2.5, okay? But I will tell you that we could overthink this, right? Like, for example, I know that the y-intercept here is at 80. So like if that's 80, maybe this dude's jump is like boom, like this. You know what I mean? Like it's much taller. We're just going to go with it's 2.5 seconds. Okay, so try not to overthink that with me. Let's just go with that. Now it does ask, what does the constant term represent? I just told you. That thing is the y-intercept. How do I know that? Because if I plugged in 0 now, 0 times 16 is 0, 8 times 0 is 0. All that is 0 plus 80. Well, guess what? When x is 0, or in our case t, that's when you get the y-intercept. So that is the answer right here, and this is our answer right here. Next, number 13, I realize I've written all over, but I don't care. For what values of t can that thing be written as the product of two binomials with integer coefficients and constants? Let's see. This is throwing me a little bit, but let's just solve it, and like as if that wasn't going to throw. Oh, t. Gotcha. Okay, so here we go. We've got this thing and a times c. A times c. So we got 20. And we want to equal t. So they're telling us that we've got 1, 2, 3 options. Well, I'll bet our options are 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. And what could we get with those? Well, because that's positive, and that's positive. 1 and 20 could be 21, so there's one answer. 2 and 10 could be 12, there's one answer. 4 and 5 could be 9, there's the other answer. These are your 3 answers here. Okay, without factoring, how could we determine which graph represents which function? Well, if we're not going to factor, then what I'm going to do is consider some important things, some easy to look at things. For example, one thing that I would love to look at is the y-intercept, but I'm telling you, they're both intercepting at 12, and so there's the 12 there, there's the 12 there. That's great. Okay, how about from there, when at 1, we're down here, and at and at -1, we're right here. So I'm going to plug it. Those are easy numbers to work with. I'm going to plug those in and see what we get. So for g of -1, we would get 21 times -1 squared plus 37 times -1 plus 12. So that's 21, that's minus 37, that's plus 12. 21 minus 37 is -16 plus 12 is -4. Well, let's see. G of -1 goes to k. Because look, they're saying that one's k, so which graph k represents that function? That'd be g. I mean, we could go ahead and do the other one, but you know what? Let's just for the sake of like showing you what's going on, I'm going to plug in h of -1 and watch what happens here. 21 times -1 squared minus 37, -1 plus 12. And if you're like, why is he doing this? I'm just showing you what will be the outcome. Because we get 21 here, we get plus 37 plus 12. 21 plus 37 is 58, plus 12 is 70. So, at -1, does this make sense that this thing would be way up there at positive 70? It definitely does. So that's why L is definitely going to represent this h function. H goes right here. So really, technically speaking, I know I didn't have to do that. I did not have to do this. Figuring out 1 was good enough, but I just wanted to go for it anyway, okay? To especially show you that it wasn't going to accidentally both be the same thing. Okay, that's just not how functions work. Factor this guy. Okay, these are meant to scare you, but they're just as difficult as all the others. So when I say they're meant to scare you, a times c, okay, 6 times -4 is -24, b is 5, and let's see, the factors of -24, they're going to give us 5. Well, it's not 1 and 24, it's not 2 and 12, It's maybe 3 and 8. I'm just going to keep going to, okay, it's 3 and 8. Negative 24. So we're going to go negative 3, positive 8. So here's all that's going to happen from this. We're going to get 6x squared minus 3xy plus 8xy minus 4y squared. That's all that's going on here, is that this is supposed to make you go, this guy has a 3x in common, so we have 2x minus y, and this guy has a 4y in common, so plus 4y, and we're left with 2x minus y. Oh my goodness. So scary. 2x minus y, sorry, times 3x plus 4y. That's it. That's the answer. Next, factor the polynomial negative 6 and negative 14. Okay. Gotta go ahead and do that math. 6 times 4, 24, 84. Okay. So we have positive 84 because a negative and a negative. Positive 84 and 19. Let's see. 2 and 42, not going to work. 4 and 21, not going to work. I skipped 3. Let's do 3. 3 and, let's see, 84. That's 2. 2 and 8. So 3 and 28 doesn't work. 6. 6 times, let's see, 1. 6 and 14. Oh, close. Let's see. 2, 3, 4. 5 doesn't work. 6. Oh, 7 and 12. Duh. Great. So these will both be positive, and we have this now. We have negative 6a squared plus 12ab plus 7ab minus 14b squared. Factoring out, come on there, negative 6a, we're going to get a minus 2b. Factoring out a 7, we're going to get 7b, we're going to get a minus 2b. And our answer for that one is negative 6a plus 7b times a minus 2b. That is the answer for 16. And last one, 17. They all have a 3 and an m in common, so we can factor out all that stuff. 3m. We're going to get 6m squared plus 13mn minus 5n squared. Okay. So 6 and 5. 6 and negative 5 is negative 30. We want 13. This is going to be positive 10. And, see, this is another one. If I do positive 10 and positive 3, that's not going to give me negative 30. So, psych, not those. Let's do some math. So, 2 and 15. Aha, got it right away. Positive 15, negative 2. So our 3m is still hanging out front. Big set of parentheses because I'm going to be doing some math inside of it. 6m squared minus 2n plus 15. Hold up, did I do that right? Not technically. Minus 2mn plus 15mn minus 5n squared. 3m still hanging out there. Big parentheses. Going to factor out a 3m to get 2m minus n. Going to factor out a 5n to get 3m minus n. 3m. And we've got 3m plus 5n. And the other one is 2m minus n. So that is our final one. Look at how much fun we had doing this stuff. Let me know what questions you got about factoring this stuff.